top stories tonight. President Tinubu calls for swift evacuation, humanitarian aid amid floods in Maiduguri. Nigeria's Secret Service backed down, returns NLC President's passports. Nigeria's defense chief outlines new strategy to train locals to combat banditry. Lesotho's high suicide rate causes concern. Thank you for joining us. I'm Felicity Isdewike. Let's begin by telling you that President Bola Tinubu has ordered the immediate evacuation of residents in flood-hit communities. In a statement on Tuesday, Tinubu expressed deep concern over the severe flooding in Maiduguri, Borno state capital, and directed government agencies to expedite rescue operations. He assured Governor Babagana Zulum that the federal government is prepared to work closely with the state to meet the urgent humanitarian needs of those affected. Borno State is experiencing its worst flooding in decades, with thousands displaced in critical facilities, including post office, the Maiduguri Teaching Hospital, a cemetery, and a zoo heavily impacted. Nigeria's Vice President Kashim Shettima has assured that the federal government would prioritize the welfare of the affected communities in Borno following the severity of the floods in Maiduguri, describing it as the most catastrophic in over 3 decades in the state capital. The Vice President stated this on Tuesday during an on-the-spot assessment of the ravaging floods in Maiduguri, Borno State. This comes as residents of Maiduguri, the Borno State capital, are now desperately calling for help from the government as the flood waters have displaced thousands. We have details in this report.
Thousands of residents in Maiduguri, Borno State capital, and parts of Jere local government area are now stranded. Their homes, schools, and businesses overtaken by floods. The collapse of the dike and overflow of the Alawu Dam, which is about 10 kilometers away from Maiduguri metropolis, is what has led to the displacement of the residents. After the secretary to the Borno State government, Bukari Tijani, led a delegation to assess the situation of the dam last week, he assured the general public that there was no cause for alarm as measures would be taken to mitigate any disaster. Sadly, the reverse was the case as flood waters started flowing into town from Monday. The flooding has since affected major areas like Shehu's Palace, Monday Market, Post Office area, Gwange Moromoro Customs Bridge, and the zoo, amongst others. In an on-the-ground assessment of the devastating floods that have swept through the state, Vice President Kashim Shettima, who arrived Maiduguri on Tuesday, expressed deep concerns over the situation and has directed relevant government agencies to provide immediate relief to the affected communities.
Inshallah, za mu hada karfi da karfe. Ita Borno State Government, the Federal Government, the NEMA, the National Refugees Commission, inshallah, the North-East Development Commission, za mu dauki duk matakan da ya cancanta a dauka a share hawayenku. Akwai hakkinku a kanmu, kuma hakkinku nan shine mu ga cewa mun tallafa muku. Kuma ba siyasa ba, gaskiya za mu gaya muku duk abin da ya cancanta a yi za mu yi don mu share hawaye ku. Muna muku godiya bisa ga halayen dattaku da kun nuna. Ba wanda yake ihu nan, ba wanda yake zage-zage. Kun yi imani cewa wannan masifan daga Ubangiji ne, kuma insha Allah Allah zai share hawaye mu.
Residents of various communities have since been advised by the police to avoid flooding routes and stay in safer areas as the police and other relevant government agencies are doing everything possible to ensure safety of lives and property.
In the meantime, Vice President Kashim Shettima paid a courtesy visit to the Shehu of Borno, Abubakar El Kanimi, following a devastating flood in Maiduguri. The Shehu expressed gratitude to the federal government for its prompt response to the disaster. He, however, urged the government to establish a high-level committee to thoroughly assess the causes and effects of the flood, which has created widespread damage across the region. Drawing parallels to a similar flood in 1994, the Shehu emphasized the importance of finding a lasting solution to prevent future occurrences.
Your Eminence, we are here at the directive of President Bola Tinubu to commiserate with the government and people of Borno State, most especially His Excellency the Governor, and Your Eminence, the father of the state, over the very catastrophic flooding incident this morning that devastated a greater chunk of Maiduguri. The President has given the assurance that the federal government will stand firmly behind the government and people of Borno State towards ameliorating the pitiable conditions of our people. We are talking to the organized private sector for them to further reinforce the efforts of the Borno State government. Honestly, Your Eminence, the tragedy that we have seen is well beyond the capacity of the Borno State government alone to shoulder.
I thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your timely visit to Borno and Maiduguri in particular to sympathize us with these very sudden incidents. In fact, it's very unfortunate and a great bit, especially this particular time when most of the people are about to evacuate and take their food items from the farm, and this unfortunate incident and that's terrible. However, it is an act of Allah, and nobody will question the act of Almighty Allah as anything made by Allah. It's justifiable, correct, and good. Your Excellency, the people of Borno are very grateful.
Let's also tell you that the flooding has led to a prison break at the city's custodial facility on Tuesday, with an unconfirmed number of inmates escaping. The flooding caused extensive damage, breaching security barriers and weakening structural supports, allowing inmates to escape. Authorities have warned that the escapees are considered highly dangerous and may be armed, posing an increased threat to public safety in the state, which is already grappling with insurgency. A manhunt is currently on the way, with law enforcement agencies mobilizing additional resources to recapture the escaped inmates. Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff says that the Defense Headquarters has resolved to build the capacities of citizens in rural and far-to-reach communities on how to adequately defend themselves against bandits. The defense chief made this known in Abuja while giving a State of the Nation update on measures being put in place to tackle the myriad of insecurity challenges across the country. My colleague Amadine Uyi reports.
It was a briefing on the efforts being put in place by security agencies to tackle the rising insecurity in the country. In attendance were heads of security agencies with their representatives. The Chief of Defense Staff informed those present of the military's new operation in the northwest of the country, codenamed Operation Kasayama.
The intention is to ensure that we synergize all our efforts in addressing the security challenges in the northwest. It's been their tradition for the bandits to be able to flow between the states within them. So now what we're doing is that since we're harmonizing the whole operation, they will come under one commander, and then the commander will be able to utilize all the equipment and troops together to ensure that we address this critically. And I think that's the best solution we have for it. And I can assure you, all the assets that is required to do that will be done.
He says that the military has evolved a new strategy aimed at helping local communities respond swiftly to bandit attacks, one which solves the problem of first responders before troops arrive at the scene of attacks.
We're going to build the capacity of the locals to be able to defend themselves for a while before the military will come in. That we have adopted in the northeast with the civilian JTF, with the hybrid forces, and it has worked. We're also trying to do the same thing. We're working with the state government. We're not working in isolation. We know the relevance of the communities. We know the relevance of the state governments. So we're working as a team to ensure that we address these issues together.
Also, the Chief of Training and Logistics of the Defense Headquarters informed those present that troops have concluded plans to stop the infiltration of bandits into the Kanji National Parks following intelligence reports.
We are also aware that there are intelligence reports on possible movement of terrorists and bandits towards Kanji National Park. That is being addressed. The Air Force is on top of it. There's increased ISRs, and troops are also being deployed to ensure that nobody gains foothold in the Kanji National Park. I can assure you that we are on top of this situation.
The Defense Headquarters also informed citizens of the Republic of Niger's willingness to re-establish its alliance with the multinational Joint Task Force, expected to help tackle terrorism in the Sahel. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
Many thanks, Amadine. To discuss this, we're joined by security analyst Saludeen Hashimu. Thank you very much, Saludeen, for joining us on the news. What are the potential benefits and drawbacks of the armed forces plan to build the capacity of locals in the northwest to defend themselves against bandits?
Well, I think this is actually a very welcome development, to be very honest. This is one missing element in the entire security landscape, where you are not having locals to participate in the entire process. And as you know very clearly, that security is local. And of course, if you must have a solution that is sustainable and enduring, then you need to find local solutions to them. And for me, again, knowing fully well that most of the locals have native intelligence, they understand the terrain, they know the landscape, they understand the stakeholders, and of course, those who are perpetrators. It therefore becomes very strategic to also involve them in this whole conversation. But what is actually very worrisome is the issue that borders around profiling. How do you profile those you want to actually put on this entire nominal role? Because you need to indeed be able to determine that these are the people who would actually do the community guard rather than also helping to transmit information or becoming a threat to the communities themselves. So profiling is very important to be able to determine the characters of those who support these onslaughts. Secondly, for me, the issue that borders around small arms and light weapons, the proliferation. What are the kind of control mechanisms that will be put in place to control the issue and the use of small arms in a manner that would also not threaten the society as we move on? And that for me is very strategic, because if we do not pay attention to these two key elements, opportunities are there that what we think a solution might therefore become a new challenge and threat to the entire landscape. So I think these two strategic areas, there must be some level of internal and of course community buy-in into this whole process, develop a mechanism and a checklist to profile and do proper vetting. In security parlance, there is something that is called vetting, and vetting is actually required to be able to ensure that those who will be enlisted for this kind of non-operative cover, because it's actually a knock operations that these guys will be involved in, that they must also have clarity in terms of what their modus operandi must be like. And again, it is also an issue that borders around knowing fully well that these guys are going to do what is actually going to support the system rather than what will threaten the system. So these are, for me, some of the immediate worries that I have. But again, generally, I think this is actually welcome. It is strategic. It is expected. And I think it is something that we need to actually provide some support towards seeing it coming to reality.
As Aludin, you answered the questions I have not even asked, because it was imperative to understand what the capacity would entail. It is a 50-50 scenario at the end of the day. it's a give or take. It's an effort, so it's commendable, like you said. But how effective has similar approach been in the Northeast against terrorist group, and other lessons that they might be learning from the application of this capacity building that they can replicate now that they're heading to the Northwest?
I didn't hear you quite well, but I think, again, if I get you correctly, you are talking about the kind of capacity development need that will help support those locals to be able to also do what is required.
Let me repeat the question. I'm talking about how effective, I'm asking now, how effective has similar approach been in the Northeast region against terrorist group, and what lessons might they have learned from the application of this capacity building for locals to combat bandits that they can apply in the Northwest?
Brilliant. Excellent. I think, that's a very beautiful template. Yeah, it's an excellent template that you have actually just referenced, because, again, that was the only location in this country where we have initially, except after that, we also saw what happened to the Western Security Network in the Southwest, that is popularly called the Amotekun, and then, of course, in the Southeast, and, of course, some other states in the Northwest also had bought into the idea. So the template in the Northeast is similar to what we are probably seeing, involving locals to be part of the process, organizing them to also understand what security threat looks like, and then, of course, understanding the red lines. And there are red tapes that you need to also safeguard. Otherwise, you might be breaching some rights issues, particularly as regards the community. Because, again, these guys don't want to understand what actually the limits should be. They don't understand proportionality, because that is very fundamental. They don't understand what it means to have procedure for detention or for interrogation. And then, again, they must understand that whatever effort they are doing, they need to work very closely with security stakeholders to be able to achieve those purposes. And, of course, they must understand that it is not about the use of force. So force is actually not what you must use, except where it is absolutely necessary. So these are some of the areas where they need to be capacitated to understand that there are also needs that will be helping them to support the actualization of this venture.
All right, since we have you here, I'll just ask your thoughts on this. Just yesterday, there were reports on abduction of healthcare workers and patients by gunmen in Kaduna. In your view, how can the military and security agencies improve their response time and effectiveness in addressing security threats in rural area? Because this could have been avoided.
To be very honest, I've been praying for this week to have some level of sanity, global template of mass atrocity, 9/11. So one of the things that I actually hope will not happen this week actually just came on the first day of the week, and that for me was heartrending. The terrorists were actually on their way to a secondary school, and they ended up in a medical facility. It took health workers and perhaps some patients who were in the hospital. What can the military do? One is actually improve on strategic communication. That terrain is actually a very difficult terrain. And I think, again, in our security conversation, there shouldn't be anything requiring or being referred to as a difficult terrain. Currently in Maiduguri, it is very difficult for you to be able to speak to anybody because of the very poor communication infrastructure that we have in that particular location. And it took a lot while before security agencies are aware of what happened. And these guys actually came in at 9 a.m. in the morning, trying to also brandish the audacity of confronting every security stakeholder. So it tells very clearly that they understand the pattern and the working relationship and the way security actually responds to issues. And I think it is very important that we also find what are those elements of surprises. And what can they do is to improve the communication infrastructure in the hinterland, in hard-to-reach area. When we talk about ungoverned spaces, it tells very clearly why security threats thrive in those localities is simply put because there is nobody who will respond to any form of audacity. So that in itself is important. Communication part. Two is actually to improve on how we gather intelligence. Of course, I mean, when you don't communicate effectively or don't have the infrastructure, intelligence gathering will be very difficult, because the issue would therefore be how do you sedate those intelligence once you gather them. And that for me is actually an issue
that
we
in
need
this
to
day
work
and
on.
age, we are still talking about effective communication. It is quite sad. Thank you very much, Salim, for speaking with us. Coming up, Army confirms operational attack on Delta community. That's after the break. Do stay with us. If you've just joined us, you're watching Tonight. A reminder of our top stories. President Tinubu calls for swift evacuation, humanitarian aid amid floods in Maiduguri. Nigeria's Secret Service backs down, returns NLC President's passport. Nigeria's defense chief outlines new strategy to train locals to combat banditry. And Lesotho's high suicide rate causes concern. Following the recent invasion of Ukwama community in Delta State, South Nigeria by suspected Nigerian soldiers, where 3 persons reportedly were killed and unquantifiable property carted away, leaders of the deserted community have called on President Bola Tinubu and Governor Sheriff Oborevwori to restore peace in the troubled community. They made the call barely 24 hours after the attack. My colleague Austin Azu completes the report.
When inhabitants of Ukwama community in Delta State thought peace has finally settled down in the earlier deserted community after the March 14 experience, where 17 soldiers were ambushed and killed in the community, followed by the subsequent military reprisal attacks that brought the community to rubble. Yet another fresh attack on Monday, September 9, 2024, by suspected men of Nigeria Army. From this amateur video that has gone viral, there is a voice of someone from the bush showing how the armed soldiers took over the community, shooting sporadically.
See the people there. I am Buduame. I am Buduame na sa oko the granite no dinapana. Tinyaiba.
Leaders of Ukwama community, who seem to have been taken aback in the slowed rehabilitation and rebuilding process of the destroyed community by the state government, expressed pains over the invasion of their community. By providing details on how the attack was coordinated, the community leaders said the attackers, dressed in army uniform, came with 3 gunboats and 11 speedboats, shot at the harmless villagers, ransacked the entire community and carted away unquantifiable property and left 3 people dead.
They saw these men coming through Okoloba side. They passed through the forest to Ukwama. Then the children, the women, the men there, everybody run away. Then immediately these people started shooting.
They come to raid the community down again. And what we lost in that community yesterday, with the little thing the people have started to start their life again, everything, they have destroyed everything again. And we lost 3 persons again. What is happening?
Because we are tired. If you are not from Nigeria, just make the just tell us carry where they want to carry us go. I will not hurt myself to say it because we are tired. We are very tired. If they like me, they can if we arrest me to go where they want to carry us go. Because enough is enough. Say me, we just die like that. Are we not a human being like them? Why are you suffering us like that? I mean, this is the first issue. What do we even do? Within our house, they will come and fight us, beat us, carry our people, arrest our people, kill our people. We just keep calm. They continue. Instead of that, if there is no way to help Ukwama, let us just come and kill all of us at once.
as a call on Governor Sheriff Oborevwori to prevail on the boundary adjustments that pitched the community in a communal clash against neighboring Okoloba. They declared that the whereabouts of their President General and others allegedly arrested by the Nigeria soldiers remains unknown to them.
Our spokesman, the leaders of Okwama now, they arrest them on the 18th. Till today, we don't know where they're about now. Till today, we are talking that they work out for the community. Now we see soldiers, they run away. I don't really understand what is happening to this Okwama community. Senator, the governors, we beg the governors, the senators, what are you people doing to come our aid?
So we are praying now, and we are calling on government. They should come out and say, yes, this is Nigeria army that is coming to us. We don't want people to come and intimidate us anyhow. Please, the chief of army staff should come to our rescue. Our senator, Dafinone, should come to our rescue. The Senate leadership should come to our aid. Likewise, the House of Reps, they should come to our aid. Why are they not saying something about this thing? Our governor gave us hope that we should go ahead. Nothing will happen. But see what has happened now, and nobody is saying anything. The commissioner of police, the DPO, everybody, they never say anything about this. This is since yesterday till now.
The Okwama incident has ignited mixed feelings among the women and children taking refuge in the IDP camp assigned for the displaced inhabitants of Okwama in Ewu Grammar School. It will be recalled that Governor Sheriff Oborevwori ordered the displaced inhabitants of Okwama to return to their ancestral home after the army announced their departure from the community after 5 weeks of hostage.
And as of today, 8th of May 2024, the military have withdrawn from Okwama. With this development, the people of Okwama can now safely return to their homes and begin the process of reintegration and rebuilding their homes.
The only building still standing in the Okwama community is this Anglican church that has accommodated the returnees that refused to relocate to the IDP camp in Ewu Grammar School. In Ewu, for News Central, I'm Austin Azu.
Thank you for that report, Austin. Meanwhile, the Nigerian army has confirmed carrying out an operation in Okwama community in its continued bid to recover stolen weapons during the killing of its personnel by some gunmen in March 14 this year. The General Officer commanding 6th Division of the Nigerian Army, Major General Jamal Abdusalam, who stated this in a Funu barracks of the 3 battalion, says the army continues to search for all its missing weapons.
I don't understand when you say soldiers invade a place. Where in this is no. This is Nigeria. If there are soldiers, they are not coming from another country. They are Nigerian army. So if Nigerian army soldiers go to a place and conduct operations, why do you say invade? We are not going to another country. This is Nigeria. If we are conducting operation anywhere, we are conducting normal military operations. And so it's normal military operations. That's the same allegation that was used to kill our troops, that civilians were using military uniform and you killed people and you say they are civilians. If civilians, yes, we know there are criminals that use the military uniform from time to time, yes, but they don't move in gunboats. With gunboats with guns mounted on them, painted with army green, put with inscription.
And to one of our lead stories tonight, the Department of State Services has released the passport of the embattled national president of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Joe Ajaero. The release was facilitated on Tuesday by Abubakar Marshal of the Falana Chambers. The DSS had seized Ajaero's passport following his release on Monday night after being detained for over 15 hours while en route to the United Kingdom for union business. NLC President's Counsel, Femi Falana, confirmed the release, stating Ajaero's passport was handed over today through his colleague, Abubakar Marshal. In response to Ajaero's detention, the NLC had issued a midnight ultimatum to the government, prompting the DSS to release him before the deadline. Let's go over now to Plateau State, where we understand residents of Jos, the capital city, have decried the unaffordability and unavailability of drugs in the state and Nigeria in general. Drugs and other medical commodities had been affordable until recent times. News actress Chizoba Anyowe in Jos tells us more.
Drugs and medical commodities are essential products that save lives, especially for people suffering from one illness or the other. Sadly, there has been a downturn in its availability, affordability, and efficacy in some cases, where some Nigerians find it very difficult to continue with the trend, noting the current economic hardship in the country.
There is this drug that I used to buy for my mother. We started with 3,000 naira. It got to 7,000 naira. As I speak to you, I buy it 14,500 naira.
Since transportation cost was touched by Tinubu, all the prices of things skyrocketed. Even food you can't buy. So now, genuine drugs are very difficult to come by. Even if you see it, the prices are very high.
The unveiling of the Plateau State Drugs and Medical Commodities Management Agency, also known as Pharma Grade Warehouse, may be the game changer, according to Governor Caleb Mutfwang.
These projects reflect our shared commitment to improving the quality of life for every Plateau citizen and our determination to overcome the health challenges we face daily. Our ultimate goal is to make Plateau State a destination for medical tourism, leveraging our ideal climate for healing.
Stakeholders are optimistic that the facility, together with the ambulance services, will achieve its objectives.
It is important to acknowledge the work that lies ahead. Sustainability is at the heart of these initiatives. This requires that the state makes annual budgetary provisions for the maintenance of the warehouse and also build the technical and managerial capacity of the warehouse personnel.
It also involves partnering with a very strong pharmaceutical sector in Nigeria to procure quality assured medicines at affordable prices.
They're dealing directly with manufacturers. And in dealing with manufacturers, of course, it reduces the costs going through third-party retailers and all that. So it's going to really change the landscape in terms of availability of drugs on the plateau.
We are not just opening doors, we are opening a new chapter in our commitment to the pharmaceutical world, to public health. Indeed, assuring citizens of Plateau State that the days of stockouts are...
Now, if the words of the government and of course the partners are anything to go by, then one would say that the cries of the masses concerning the unavailability of drugs and the high cost of these same drugs have come to an end. In Jos for News Central, Chizoba Anyowe.
How much of an impact will this medical warehouse have? We will be discussing with pharmacist and vice chairman, industrial pharmacist of Nigeria, Bankole Ezebwilo. That is after this very short break. Do stay with us. Thank you for staying with us to now discuss the affordability and availability of drugs across Nigeria, and the unveiling of the medical warehouse in Plateau is pharmacist and vice chairman, industrial pharmacist of Nigeria, Bankole Ezebwilo. Thank you very much for joining us. Let's begin with the unveiling of the warehouse. How much of an impact do you believe this will have in addressing the price of drugs in Plateau and, of course, its availability?
Okay, good evening. Thank you for having me. I will commend the executive governor of Plateau State for putting up that facility and opening up a drug management agency. How will it affect people in the Plateau? It will affect them because if the drug management agency partnered well with pharmaceutical industries, there will be competition. Every pharma company will want to do business with Plateau State. And when there's competition, it drives the cost of medication down. If the Drug Management Agency in Plateau State keeps to the terms of agreement by paying pharma industries as at when due, it would definitely bring the cost of medication down in Plateau State.
Okay, this situation is not peculiar to Plateau State. I know of people who use inhaler for those that have, I can't remember, is it asthma or something? They keep talking about how much of a rise the price continues to have. How can this kind of facility be replicated across board to help with the availability? And then we start talking about the cost of these drugs.
Okay, thank you. Let me give you a little background. Nigeria is an importing nation. About 70% of our medication are imported as finished products. About 30% of these medications are manufactured in Nigeria, but the active pharmaceutical ingredients used for this manufacture are also imported. The volatility of Forex add to the cost of medication. The custom duties are generated based on the prevailing exchange rate. It adds to the cost of medication. Transportation costs, energy costs, and the regulatory bodies' charges during clearing of product all add to the cost of medication. So, I think what we should be talking about is, what will the government do to help support pharma industries to bring down the cost of medication? Will the government make Forex available at a reduced cost? That would directly, drastically bring the cost of medications down. Will the government do something about custom duties, regulatory body charges, energy costs?
I'm afraid we'll have to interject. We've really run out of time for this conversation. We appreciate the questions you've raised as to how government can help improve and make it available for Nigerians. Thank you very much for speaking with us.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, let's tell you about Lesotho's high suicide statistic that is causing concern. The 10th of September each year is a day set aside on the international calendar that focuses on suicide prevention and worldwide commitment and action to prevent suicide. In this report, News Centra's Bongani Sisiba explores the suicide crisis that has gripped the kingdom of Lesotho.
This vibrant life of Maseru, people mill about, engaged in conversations and activities, yet a somber undertone exists beneath the surface. Here, resilience clashed with a staggering reality, the highest suicide rate in the world. For the Lesotho people, life often presents a facade of bravery, but beneath this mask, a battle ranges. But what compels an individual to see no other solution but to end their lives?
This is more prominent amongst the young adults and the youth, starting from the age of 10 up to the age of around 35 or higher. So in that situation, that's where you realize that that's when people would be expecting to get, their life going. They will be starting to have families. They will be starting to have responsibilities that are really demanding. So in the case where you don't have, the economic muscle to do that, I think for some people it becomes quite a big challenge, and they become overwhelmed and unable to respond accordingly.
Join me as I meet with those affected. They bravely share their stories with me. Meet Ntanti Pakwe, a survivor whose story echoes the struggles faced by many here. Once consumed by darkness, today she stands as a beacon of hope. These scars are a reminder of how she has braved this journey.
We understand you have gone through 1 or 2 episodes. Just take me through that. And when did it start? How did it happen?
Bongani, everything started during my prepubescent stage. It's been a sad journey. I wouldn't say lonely, but I would say daunting, very scary journey. And neither myself, nor my parents, nor my family, nor my friends knew what was going on. We didn't know how to explain it. We didn't know how to compute it. We didn't know how to make anything out of it. With every passing day, I would hate myself. I didn't understand myself. There's a build up. There's a pile up of incidences and mishaps and painful scenarios, painful lives, bad decisions, bad things happening to you, people taking advantage because of your volatile state, because of your vulnerable state. And this doesn't help with the illness. It piles, and until it becomes a lot. And I don't think any medication can solve that.
Mental health issues often remain in the shadows, leaving individuals to believe they have no one to turn to. Ndate is a survivor who has experienced these feelings firsthand.
I've been scolded, I've been punished, I've been whipped. Everything. We all didn't know what to do. I've tried to run away from myself. I've tried to kill myself.
Yet for every story of survival, many others are lost. Like that of Mayor Mapalo Nsabo, whose daughter couldn't find the strength to carry on.
There, lying down, she was near the door this time. So I tried to talk to her and she didn't talk. So I asked those people to find me a car so that we can take her to Tebo. Then we took her to Tebo, and when we arrived there, they said she's passed away.
A mother's heartbreak shows us the silent battles many face.
I'm not feeling well, Mama, because when you are raising children, you think you'll see them till you are old. You see their children.
Mayor Mapalo Nsabo offers advice for the youth who are too often lost in the shadows.
They have to work hard to help themselves. Even if they are not working, they have to try something.
Let's now go over to our business team for today's update.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
In a major milestone aligning with the Petroleum Industry Act 2021, NNPC Limited and its joint venture partner Chevron Nigeria Limited have successfully completed the conversion of the 5 JV assets to PIA terms. This transition marks a pivotal shift from the previous petroleum profit tax regime to a more investor-friendly framework. Under the new PIA provisions, existing oil prospecting licenses and oil mining leases are automatically converted to petroleum prospecting licenses and petroleum mining leases upon expiration. The PIA offers a more favorable investment climate compared to the previous PPT terms. This strategic move is expected to enhance domestic gas supply and expand their global market presence. Group CEO of NNPC Limited, Mele Kyari, expressed confidence in the continued collaboration, aiming to increase value and bolster Nigeria's position in the domestic and export gas markets. The federal government of Nigeria, through the National Center for Artificial Intelligence and Robotics, has announced the launch of a 100 million naira AI fund in collaboration with Google. This initiative aims to support Nigerian startups that are leveraging artificial intelligence to develop innovative solutions across various sectors. The fund will provide up to 10 million naira in funding to selected startups along with access to Google's AI tools, mentorship, and global network. The Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Dr. Bosun Tijani, stated that the AI Fund is a significant step in nurturing homegrown innovation and driving the growth of Nigeria's digital economy. He also said the AI Fund is open to Nigerian-based startups that are focused on AI-driven technology solutions with the potential for significant impact.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money. Sports update brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
Rwanda and Nigeria played out a goalless draw in their 2025 Africa Cup of Nations qualifying match day 2 encounter in Kigali on Tuesday. The draw comes after the Austin Eguavon-led side thrashed Benin Republic 3-0 on Saturday in Uyo, bringing their points tally in the group to 4 points. The Super Eagles took control of the game from the start, with Ballon d'Or nominee Ademola Lookman causing problems for the host defense. The Atalanta forward put the ball inside the net in the 22nd minute, but the goal was controversially chalked off by the centre referee. The Super Eagles will host Libya in their next game in the qualifiers in October. Former Super Eagles winger Victor Moses is back in England, having been officially signed this Tuesday by Championship side Luton Town. The 33-year-old spent the last 4 seasons at Spartak Moscow in Russia, where he left at the end of his contract. Moses has previously played for the likes of Crystal Palace, Wigan, Chelsea, Stoke City, Liverpool and West Ham, winning 2 Europa Leagues and the Premier League title. Now, 5 years after swapping Chelsea for Fenerbahce, he is returning to England. French judges have ordered 6 men to stand trial in a kidnap and extortion case involving French footballer Paul Pogba, with the star's brothers Matthias, one of the accused. The trial follows a 2-year investigation into the alleged extortion and kidnapping of the former Manchester United midfielder in a high-profile case that emerged in 2022. 5 people close to the World Cup winner are suspected to have meticulously prepared a meeting in the Paris suburbs on the 19th of March 2022, which ended with Paul Pogba being kidnapped and held by 2 unidentified men who demanded he gave them 13 million euros, according to Paris prosecutors. All have denied their guilt in the affair, claiming they were victims of armed robbers and that they were assaulted after Paul Pogba refused to pay. The former boyfriend of Ugandan Olympic athlete Rebecca Cheptegei, who killed her by setting her on fire, has himself died from burns sustained in the attack. This was reported by a Kenyan hospital. Dixon Ndiema ambushed the marathon runner as she returned home from church more than a week ago. He then doused her with petrol and set her ablaze. Local administrators said the two had been in conflict over a small piece of land in northwest Kenya where Cheptegei lived and trained. Ndiema died on Monday night at intensive care unit where, according to the hospital, he had been admitted with burns on more than 40% of his body. The 33-year-old Olympian, Cheptegei, was the 3rd female athlete to be killed in Kenya over the last 3 years. In each case, current or former romantic partners were named as the main suspects by the police. And that's a wrap on Sport Update. I'm Udoka Njoko.
Sports Update brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
Up next is entertainment.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
Tonight on Entertainment News, popular Nigerian disc jockey DJ Neptune has denied allegations of defrauding singer and former BB Naija winner Laycon over unpaid royalties from their collaboration on the Nobody Icons remix. Laycon recently claimed that despite the song's release 4 years ago, he has not received any royalties. Responding to the accusation on the Zero Condition podcast, DJ Neptune clarified that he did not cheat the artist, explaining that the issue lies in recouping funds advanced by distribution companies or labels for marketing the music. DJ Neptune emphasized that the situation is about proper documentation and not fraud. He explained that after Laycon reached out to him, he referred the matter to his legal team and requested Laycon's lawyer's contact to facilitate discussions between both parties. Neptune admitted that his mistake may have been not following up on the ongoing legal conversations, but assured that there was a proposed percentage for Laycon's royalties, which his team rejected, leaving the matter unresolved. Neptune also expressed disappointment in the way Laycon called him out publicly, noting that the social media post made it seemed as though he had intentionally defrauded the singer, which he strongly denied. He reiterated that the issue is being handled by legal teams and there was no intent to withhold any money from Laycon.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
And that's all tonight. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. President Tinubu has called for swift evacuation, humanitarian aid amid floods in Maiduguri. Nigeria's Secret Service have backed down and returned NLC President's passport. Nigeria's defense chief has outlined new strategy to train locals to combat banditry. We also brought you news that Lesotho's high suicide rate has caused concerns. Do send your eyewitness report to the number showing now on your screen, or you could follow us on social media at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and on YouTube. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.